So I've actually decided to end Project Lightyear. Now this may come as a surprise, but the reason behind this is obviously I want to do some more digital stuff, but I have a more pressing matter at hand. So recently I went through all of these. Now these are sketchbooks and stuff that I've done in the past. I've got some other pieces too, and one of the big things that I've always wanted to do, or have wanted to do since I got stuff like this, is go back and look at stuff that I've done in the past and then go through and do it again, make it big and make it better. And who knows, I might come back to this in like every couple of years. I'll come back and redo some of my stuff, because A, it's a really good way to develop skills, it's a great way to develop your style and ideas, and honestly I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So right here we actually have my oldest sketchbook, which you can see, #1, and I guess this was where I started to love art, I guess. So we had like a lot of like stuff at primary school talking about things, and I guess I just kind of fell in love with it, like the creativity, design. I often tried to make things of my own stuff, as you can see that it didn't go too well. I guess it was more like very imaginary. So a lot of the next stuff, like over the next few pages, is influenced by things that I'd seen at the time. So obviously this is from Lego Ninjago. I never actually finished it, and then I just kind of sometimes went on some random sketches, and then some real life things too. So I don't know what that is. I guess this is kind of my first like drawing collage, like actually in a sketchbook. I think this was influenced by the SpongeBob movie, and then I've actually started putting dates on some of these. So yeah, this goes back to 2015, which is a long time ago now. We're just gonna skip through a couple of pages and then I'll show you the rest, because I don't want this to end up being too long. Now this is a big one that I want to come back and do, because this I remember spending a lot of time on this, and it's a character I'd like to come back and explore. Loads more stuff in here, and this isn't even filled all the way up. I think this is the last one I did in 2016, and then this is, I think this is like end of 2019, start of 2020. I started looking at drawing figures and faces and all of that. But yeah, there's a load of other stuff to cover, and I will do that. Let's move on to the next one. My Year 10 sketchbook. This was a coast themed project. So I guess over the summer we just have to start looking at coast sort of themed things, and just like develop ideas through it. So I remember this was sort of my main style at the time. Our teacher had us experiment with some different stuff, obviously like shading, and then a bit of textiles and mixed media. And then I started using this for more character design and stuff like that. Obviously I didn't know at the time what it was, but I started experimenting with like drawing hands, and at the time I was also very interested in mythical and like fantasy creatures, as you can tell. I had a few different like techniques that I tried to. But yeah, I think that's pretty much the rest of it. And then 2021, I think I started doing a bit of illustration and some other stuff. And then this is obviously the very first video I ever uploaded, which was last year. We got the plans too. And then the rest is pretty much just blank. Right, next sketch. So this is less of a sketchbook and more like a folder, I guess, but it's my year 10 GCSE introduction. Suggestive title page. This is something called Brusho, which is like a powder that you spray water onto it and it makes it go like this. Then our mind map comes along. Yeah, I love to like make all sorts of like typography. And we started to look at someone called Edward Weston. You can see. And then we did some stuff on Holly Exley, which is she is a watercolor painter. Obviously I have to try my own stuff. And then Carlos Huante. This was my first big introduction to concept art and character design and all sorts of things like that. And this is what I wanted to do, or something that I definitely wanted to look into from that point. Again, I think like diving into like looking into GCSE, this was one of my favourites, by the way. It's called the grid method, but like looking into GCSE and all of that stuff, and finding all the techniques, I definitely found this a lot of fun. We had the exchange students over, but we started making like big textile pieces with paint and cardboard and everything. Moving on to final pieces, I just like defining colours here, getting a mock-up, some things I was going to use, and then the rest of it's empty. Also, very quickly, I do just want to say that I did do these at the time that we discovered ink. Again, experimentation, and at the time, like I said, I was very fascinated in the subject of like fantasy, mythological creatures. So this is what is meant to be a mosasaurus. Underneath we've got a turtle. I went more like pinks and blues, again just experimenting with what colours I like. It didn't turn out too great, and it turns out he's shooting a laser out of his face and he's got a seahorse as well. So yeah, some of you may know who this is. This is Cthulhu. So during our year 10 final piece, Four Coasts, like the introduction to GCSE, I had heard about, so there was someone in my class who'd been reading H.P. Lovecraft, and I'd heard about Cthulhu. I did a bunch of research into it, looked at monsters, but I think this is the one that hit the most. Now moving on to year 11. So this was where our actual GCSEs took place. But I went into more like animal themed things. So starting off with some paintings, and then I also did artist research for that, digital. A lot of this I would like to retry as well, because obviously it's meant to look more like this, more like splattery to go back and do. I think this was really great. This was like one of the first big reptile bits that I did. Honestly, I think it's one of the best ones too. Had a lot of fun doing that in lockdown. And did this. So yeah. Now with like going back over a lot of this and redoing it, I want to maybe do some of it digital and some of it not. This definitely digital, because I can get some amazing glow effects, but it's sort of like a colourful turtle. It was like my own interpretation of like a bit of Jeff and the other person, and I actually did a colour chart with the pens that I now use, which kind of ruined the turtle. Then I started to look at like dinosaurs and stuff. Final pieces were in fact, well, the original ones were this. So a chameleon in sort of tiny little circles and goblins cages. It hurt my wrists so much as well. And I've actually tried to include a bit of like different sense of style, a bit of like 3D-ness and a bit of like jagged abstractness to the thing. So here we go, lower sixth preparation. So we were basically given a bunch of words and we have to interpret this in our own way. I found this style really intriguing. I definitely want to try that again. I think this one this one went quite well. This was the Possessions. Watercolor, obviously, we'll have to look back into that. If I can just find some other pages, because there is a page that's amazing, and it's this one. So this was like animals themed, and honestly I love it a lot. I love the style that I've used here. The sort of like, the way that I build this up is I do, as you can see if you look around the edges, I do very, very jagged lines to get the basic shape. I go over the detail, and then I slowly, very, very lightly with a pen just scratch over the top, and all looks good. Yeah, I do love the tiger and snake. And then I guess this was just like planning for some other stuff, planning some more, and then these were some other pages. I don't know why I did that. I think it was my brother's idea, but yeah, that turned out pretty cool. I like the hair on this, to be honest. And then this was Dreams theme. Well, not dream as in like dream, but dream as in the word. And I started illustrating someone's dreams. Next one was Fears. So I'm not going to explain that one, but words. This was all sort of like planning and stuff. And then I guess the rest of this is pretty much just empty. Actual lower sixth projects that I started out with was anthropomorphic studies. Also, I just started doing like pig stuff as well. You've got all sorts of stuff a bit. I'm like fantasy and not real stuff. Started looking into Ouroboros and some legends. And then I did this. This was inspired partly by like the painting style is inspired a bit like Jazza, but I think the rest of this was just me. I did actually use a real crab claw for the eye that I found on the beach. That was pretty cool as well. And I guess the rest was just like development. I had like stages that I went through, so I went like fantasy and stuff, then nature of the sea, and then like, human impacts. And then this is also one of my favourite pages, so a bunch of different styles. When I was doing this, I thought that this one was going to be terrible, but it turned out great, to be honest. I don't know how I did it, I just layered and layered watercolour. But yeah, it turned out that. And then I really got into Zentangle as well. I also made that style, I guess we can do a bit of that. And oil pastel. So yeah, I started looking a lot more at not oil pastel, like Zentangle and things. Like some Maori tribes and their tattoos and their patterns. And I had to go with colour as well. Some more patterns. Maori's like Polynesians, like New Zealand and stuff like that. If you ever watched Moana, you'll know what I mean. So we just, I guess I just started trying some stuff on like engraving patterns onto natural things, and then I started looking at some more stuff. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, Final Piece came around the corner. I don't actually have it on me because I don't know where it went. But yeah, this is again just a planning for everything. I specifically like this style of animation. Animation, that is something I definitely want to do. Illustration here, it's more like abstract and like postery, I guess, or like colour booky. I guess that can be expressed in like the Birds of Wonder thing that I did. Some more like evolutionary pieces, and then I can combine some of these stuff, and then this is all the reference pictures that I used throughout the year. Then I was going to go into steampunk, but I ended up not. This is something I would like to come back to at some point as well. And then I started looking at character design as the theme for my own chosen projects. And I definitely liked anthropomorphism most. It's the one I felt most comfortable in. This is actually inspired by Stolas from Hugo Boss. hell of a box. And then I just started doing some stuff. Now I can't go any further because I'm still working on it, but let's see what we got next. Number 7. This is a sketchbook of my own creation, and I made it so that when we went on an art trip or an art competition trip, I could just do some sketches. So this is more like very expressive, very black and white and abstract. And a bit like with the animals one, what I've done is gone down with a fine liner pen, just like sketching out the basics and basic shapes, scribbled over the top of it in like shading areas, and then gone with a thicker, bold, like felt tip pen. And I've gone over the top in various areas, just create like a bit of shadow. And I also made this one. I think this one's really cool. I definitely want to try some more of this style. We also did this one. I think it's a table of drinks. I guess this was just like planning and stuff, but yeah. Oh, and then I started doing dream documentation. I don't know what I was doing at the time. And then the rest of this is just pretty much blank, and then it's just like plans for the whole summer. And then this was a 2021 Christmas gift. Now I'm doing these in the order that I've used them. I was going to do it with flipbook animation, but I didn't. And I started designing some covers, posters. Happy Star Wars Day. I started experimenting with a bit of typography. I guess the rest is just pretty much blank, empty nothingness, except this bit. Which I believe is the clothes tutorial that I did. Yep. And then drawing tutorials, anatomy, and then that's the end of the sketchbook. So you're probably wondering what was the reason to go through all of this history, all of this nostalgia and everything. And like I said at the beginning, I want to go back and redo a lot of this stuff, but obviously bigger and better, and evolve it a lot more as well. Especially this one. Yeah, I hope you guys will stick around for that, and I hope you've had a good one too. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you definitely want to see this. I'm gonna go do my Sonart version 11 now. It's need to pick a song, and yeah. So the Lightyear project, I think we're gonna drop that now. I think it's pretty much finished. I will definitely do some more digital stuff, but yeah, that's it for today. Anyway, bye.